It's hard to imagine a more repulsive, terrifying, and cunning antagonist than Baron Vladimir Harkonnen in Dune. He embodies absolute evil, depraved, cruel, vain, power-hungry, and completely devoid of any moral principles. And his very essence seems to be reflected in his appearance. In both the book and all the adaptations, he is presented in an extremely unpleasant manner, sending shivers down one's spine at just one glance. He is so villainous that at times he seems almost caricatural. However, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen is a deeper character than might appear at first glance. In fact, he has a backstory that largely explains both his tendencies and his appearance, as well as his hatred for the Atreides. In this video, let's delve into the history of this undoubtedly memorable character. Enjoy the viewing. Vladimir was born into the noble house Harkonnen. Interestingly, in the Dune universe, there are two versions of his early biography. I will present both here, and you can choose in the comments which seems more plausible. The first version of Vladimir's early years is described in the Dune Encyclopedia, a book written by fans of Frank Herbert before the completion of the main cycle. Frank Herbert read the encyclopedia and even approved it, but noted that not everything in it is true. According to the first version, Vladimir's father was named Gunnsing Harkonnen. He was married to a woman from the influential house of Sarabella, named Moiretana. Gunnsing and Moiretana had 3 children. The eldest died in infancy. The middle child, Araskin, turned out to be unremarkable, clumsy, and dim-witted. But the third son, Vladimir, was the pride of the father. He was physically attractive, strong, and had a sharp mind, earning a reputation as a prodigy. The father invested much effort and resources in educating his youngest son, hiring the best teachers and providing him with an excellent education. By the age of 18, Vladimir was already commanding the Harkonnen Guard. Gunnsing wanted to make Vladimir his heir, bypassing his older son Araskin, in whom he was disappointed. However, Baroness Moiretana, who hated her husband, and her youngest son Vladimir, who resembled him so much, wanted the eldest child to rule. She turned Araskin against his father, and he killed Baron Gunnsing at a banquet, after which he himself was killed by a mentat. That day, Vladimir, having lost both his father and brother, became the head of House Harkonnen. Unable to forgive his mother's betrayal, he strangled her with his own hands, and after that, he turned into the mad sadist we see in Dune. However, this version contradicts some facts from Frank Herbert's books, so the version described by the author's son in the sequels seems more canonical. According to the second version, Vladimir's father was Baron Dmitri Harkonnen. He also had 3 sons. The eldest was feeble-minded and incapacitated, the middle one, Vladimir, and the youngest, the darling, Abelard. Dmitri loved his youngest son, Abelard, the most and wanted him to be his heir. However, he could not handle such responsibility and almost led House Harkonnen to ruin. Then the power quite peacefully transferred to Vladimir, and Abelard was sent to govern the planet Lankyville. I will also describe Vladimir's further biography based on this version, as it is closer to the canon. In his youth, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen was very handsome, charismatic, well-built, and loved to show off his muscles, often wearing sleeveless clothing. However, everything changed after a fateful encounter with one of the Bene Gesserit sisters named Gaius Helen Mohiam. The Bene Gesserit Order had been running a millennia-long genetic program to breed the Kwisatz Haderach, and House Harkonnen played a significant role in this program. To preserve their genetic material for further selection, Sister Gaius Helen Mohiam arrived at Giedi Prime and demanded that the Baron father a child with her. Baron Vladimir did not know her, felt no affection towards her, and did not desire a relationship with a sister of the Order. However, he could not refuse. The Bene Gesserit played a crucial role in the Empire, and opposing them would have brought him considerable trouble. Thus, against his will, Baron entered into a relationship with Helen Mohiam. The woman left Giedi Prime and soon indeed gave birth to a child, a girl, but the infant was either too weak or did not possess the necessary set of genes, and after some time, Gaius Helen Mohiam returned to the Baron with a demand to try again. Vladimir was enraged. Not only had he essentially been violated the last time, but now they were demanding a repeat. Although the Baron still could not refuse, he could inflict pain on his tormentor. The second liaison with the Sister of the Order was entirely different. Vladimir knocked out Gaius Helen Mohiam and took her by force, violating her. Thus, he formally complied with the Bene Gesserit's command, but at the same time, he managed to get his revenge. Gaius Helen Mohiam became pregnant, and this time the child was suitable for the Order's plans. Soon, she gave birth to a girl named Jessica, who years later would give life to Paul Atreides. However, Gaius Helen Mohiam could not let such treatment go unpunished. In retribution for the Baron's actions, the Sister of the Order infected him with an unknown disease. Because of this disease, the once handsome Vladimir transformed beyond recognition in a short period. His skin was covered with boils and ulcers, and he began to gain weight incredibly quickly, eventually turning into a monster. The disease was irreversible, and no matter how much money the Baron spent searching for a cure, he was doomed to live with this appearance for the rest of his days. Over the years, he became increasingly obese, suffered unbearable pain, and became dependent on various strong medications to somewhat alleviate the symptoms of his disease. Eventually, he lost the ability to walk independently. His weight had become too great. To solve this problem, the Baron ordered a special gravitational device that reduced his weight and allowed him to move. It was after this that his tendencies towards sadism and other unhealthy predilections took a significant turn for the worse, and the Baron transformed into the terrifying villain shown in Dune. Many in such conditions would have given up, or even wanted to end their lives. But Vladimir took control and became what he was meant to be, the head of the house. Under him, the Harkonnens reached the peak of their power and wealth. The Baron continued and enhanced the achievements of his father and ancestors, and moreover conceived the unprecedented. He planned to make the Harkonnens the new emperors. For this plan, he needed an heir. But due to his illness, Vladimir lost the ability to have children. Then he took the children from his half-brother, Abelard, to raise the nephews as the next barons. The elder nephew, Glossu Rabban, did not meet expectations, but the younger, Feyd-Rautha, was suitable. In the subsequent years, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen worked on implementing a complex plan that included several key points. The first was the upbringing of an heir. He needed to turn Feyd-Rautha into a skilled, intelligent administrator, ambitious, power-hungry, and popular among the people, and at the same time ensure that the nephew did not kill Vladimir prematurely, which he, in fact, even attempted to do. The second was to deal with the ancient enemy of House Harkonnen, the Atreides, to finally avenge the centuries of humiliations and disasters the Harkonnens had suffered because of them, and to eliminate the main competitor. The third was the management of the house and the multiplication of its wealth and influence through spice mining on Arrakis. This was an incredibly complex task fraught with many risks. The entire empire depended on spice. A single wrong decision, and the Baron would be torn apart by enemies and the Emperor. The fourth was preparing a plan to seize power in the empire. It is hard to imagine the level of chronic stress and anxiety in which Vladimir lived for decades, trying to implement his plan. To cope with it, he likely sought increasingly unhealthy ways to distract and entertain himself. However, Vladimir Harkonnen's plan was not meant to be fulfilled. He attempted to destroy House Atreides, but Paul Atreides, the heir of Duke Leto, managed to survive. Paul escaped to the Fremen, became their leader, and with their help, overthrew House Harkonnen. In the battle with the Fremen, the Baron's elder nephew, Glossu Rabban, was killed. The younger nephew and Vladimir's heir, Feyd-Rautha, fell in a duel with Paul Atreides, and the Baron himself was killed by a little girl, Alia Atreides. Alia was the daughter of Lady Jessica, and thus the Baron's own granddaughter. The thing is, Alia Atreides was preborn while still in her mother's womb. She gained access to the personalities of all her ancestors. Facing such a trial at such a young age, Alia initially managed to control the voices in her head. However, later, after Paul left and she became the regent and ruler of the entire empire, the voices of her ancestors began to drive her mad. The strongest was the voice of Vladimir Harkonnen, the grandfather she had killed. Eventually, Alia made a deal with him and essentially allowed the Baron to control her in exchange for him silencing the other voices. The Baron, even in death, pursued his goal to avenge the Atreides. Because of his actions, or rather the actions of Alia, whom the Baron controlled, House Atreides indeed came close to death. However, Alia managed to regain control over her body at the crucial moment and threw herself from a height. Only then did the story of Vladimir Harkonnen finally end. That's all from me. If you like this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell. Your engagement is the best reward for me. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Goodbye.